for doing your Everybody Writes and talking and thinking through these important issues. I'm hoping as we talk about this guiding question today, we can make sure that we reference the equity belief statements, and I also passed around some sentence frames you can use or not use. It's up to you, but I would encourage you to, specifically in this area of building on or challenging a partner's ideas. I'm anticipating we might have some building on today, so feel free to use those. So the question I want us to consider is, how do the equity belief statements specifically influence your future work as a teacher? Okay? I welcome a group conversation, so whoever wants to start us off, go ahead.
I think that when I was reading this and based on equity, and also we were watching the video, I think something that really stood out to me was that one of the principals said, I don't want to scratch the surface, I want to make sure I go deep into it. That really hit me, because when I was reading this, I had mentioned to Adrina that every time I think of equity, I always think of, okay, our lower level students. And that's just my mentality, and I don't know how you hear the word equity, but every time I would hear the word equity, I would think, okay, well, it's those lower level students that we want to really hit. And after reading this, I realized that, well, we have to make sure that as a teacher, personally, I want to make sure that I don't see equity as those students, that I want to make sure that our higher level and the students that need challenges also get that equity portion, and that I'm equally kind of seeing all of my students and all their different needs, and not forgetting to give to each student what they need to succeed.
So to add to your idea of what you're saying about lower level students and higher level students, so when I think of equity, I think of race, I think of any disadvantage, maybe a child with ADHD or autism. I didn't just think of, as a black teacher, I guess for me, I don't just think of it as a black and white thing. But it's Black History Month. My school is predominantly white, but has any mention been of Black History Month to make me feel that I'm a part of this community in this school?
So I'm hearing two ideas here. One is equity goes beyond just like a black-white thing or an ADHD, not ADHD thing. Like, we need to think of all of our students. I'm hearing this idea, and I'm hearing another idea, Kim, about in this Black History Month hasn't been mentioned in an all-white school, so really there is a specific like lack of awareness around equity at an Aspire school. I'm wondering if anybody wants to build on to one of those ideas or challenge them.
I would like to add to your idea, Kim, about how, like me, I mean, I always say it's the Berkeley in me, but I always think about like the race aspect of like, this is why I got so interested in Aspire, because they target communities that have historically lacked the access to quality education. But then after a restorative circle that we had at my school, we reflected, my mentor and I, and we talked about how Aspire does a great job at like providing rigorous education instruction to students, but we ignore the issues that happen outside of like school gates. Like just thinking about the drug issue, like we assume that once they cross that gate, like, oh, problems outside don't exist. Like the drugs stop right there at the door. And so we, like I said, like we're good at like providing that rigorous instruction, but I think as an equitable teacher that I want to be, I want to make sure that students feel like it's valid to share their experiences, and it's valid that the problems that they have will affect their education. And instead of ignoring it, finding ways to not attack it, but like bring it up and address it and find solutions to that. Because if they're worried about, I don't have food when I get home, or I have to babysit my siblings, but I have this like two homework assignments for just one class and times 4 classes, that's where there's like a divide between being equitable. Like we're not taking those issues into consideration.
How can we bring this back to the question of what will this specifically influence you to do as a teacher? I'm hearing yet another example of this is a problem. So what does this cause you to think about what you're going to do as a teacher?
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
To feed off or to add to what she was saying, to this idea, as a teacher then to have more empathy, maybe to get to know your students better and their families, so that you understand that, mom works nights, and sister has to take care of things. So let's help her with that. Maybe I can give her the homework earlier. Maybe I can have it due on Monday instead of Friday like everyone else. And so try to be more flexible as a teacher. Try to communicate more with the family so that I can get a better understanding of what my students are going through. Drugs is a little iffy, so you're not going to always have that conversation come up. You may not know that that's an issue, but also being perceptive enough to kind of see the differences and kind of without the student telling you, but you can kind of tell there's something wrong, and they don't have to tell you, but maybe make accommodations again, be more flexible.
So exactly what you said, and then building off what Evangelina said, the last bullet point here on the belief statement, nurture an open, collaborative, and trusting environment. I think that goes beyond coworkers and employees, but it really does extend to the students. If we don't have this open communication with them and let them know, hey, look, I really want you to succeed. I understand that your home life is very different from the students over here. I'm willing to work with you. But to have that mindset, which I think Aspire's kind of really awakened in me, to understand that, okay, like you said, everything's not, as soon as they leave school, it's not sunshines and rainbows. Every student has their own reality that they need to deal with, and we as teachers need to understand that and even appreciate that, and appreciate the diversity that they bring into the classroom. So for me personally, I think it allows me to kind of step back and say, okay, this isn't a personal attack. That's something that myself and Montoya were talking about earlier. It's not a personal attack on the teacher. It's, let's think about this in a roundabout way. What is happening outside of school that I can assist the student with to make sure that they succeed and give them that equity?
I'm going to stop our conversation there. There's a lot more that we could go into, but I just want to stop it for the sake of time, to be honest with you. But a great conversation. You can cut it. Thanks, Montoya.